Go on, sports friends and family. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, good evening, good whatever it is wherever you're watching us from. And you know that you're not normally accustomed to seeing us here this early, but I have a special interview lined up, man, and we have to work with the time constraint and all that. And as you can see by the title, and I've been promoting it for 2 days now, we have one of the best coaches out of Jamaica. I can say that unapologetically because honestly, I've looked up to this coach for a long while, man. From he was coaching Jamaica College and all that, I've always liked his philosophy in terms of coaching style and all of that. And you know what? I don't want to brainstorm the man, so I'm just going to bring him on right away. Coach Miguel COLEY, blessings, boss. Okay.
Yeah, man, blessings, man. Thanks for having me, and hello to your listeners and your viewers.
All right, so this is where I want to start it. We have always heard the name Miguel COLEY, but we have always heard it in the football sphere. So what I want to ask you now, give me a brief synopsis of who Miguel COLEY is.
I'm just I'm just a little kid from my gully. That's how I view myself. Um, I'm a Christian. That's my religion. I'm a husband and I'm a father, and I'm a former teacher. I love to do poetry and love music, and I'm just a down to earth guy who approachable. Although some people say I have a soldier like demeanor, but I'm very approachable and a bit easygoing, but I'm very disciplined when it comes to work and what I believe will um, better me and better my family.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, where did you started your coaching tenure?
Okay, my coaching tenure. Well, I started a little thing when I was going to university. I did the holiday job. I was assisting Coach Barry Watson during the summer each year with MIGUEL High School, and I really got into coaching as a assistant coach and a head coach when I was at Norman Manley. I got injured at Waterhouse, and Mr. Clark, who was the head coach at Norman Manley at the time, asked me if I could assist him with the Manning Cup team and coach the under 14 team. And that void became available when Marcel Gale went to Georges because he was the person who was coaching under 14 team at Norman Manley before.
All right. So, what was the transition like from Manly to Jamaica College? How that bridge came about?
The transition. Well, I was doing I believe I was doing good enough with Norman Manley. Went to the semi-final of the Manning Cup, the semi-final of the Walker Cup, and we have been to the second round each year during my time. And I got a call from a manager at Jamaica College, I believe in 2013, that they're interested in me being the head coach of Jamaica College. And with some thought and speaking to few of my mentors, I decided that it's the right move for me at that point in time, and I haven't regretted that decision.
All right. So, what I want to gather now, you were successful as a coach of Jamaica College. Now, when the time came for you to move on from schoolboy football into senior football, was it a hard time for you to actually make the choice, or I think that it was just a stage in your career that you decided that hey, now is the time to make the step?
No, you see, I was always a part of at some senior level football where football is concerned. I have been coaching Barbican from 2010 as the head coach, and by 2014 we went to the Premier League. So I've always been, and with my experience of playing some professional football and semi-professional football, I believe it was a seamless transition. However, it was always good to have guidance of the coaches who, for example, Alwyn Clark or Coach Schaefer, with different levels that I've been. So it was a seamless transition, I believe. But I've been guided, and I'm very happy for that.
And I'm actually glad that you just mentioned Mr. Schaefer because he has played a huge role in your coaching life. So, what sort of impact would you say he has had on you, and How
No,
was
it's like
you as a person?
it's like a guardian angel. You don't normally, or you won't find that a coach from Germany comes to Jamaica. He select a young coach, and after his tenure, he said to the young coach, "Look, anywhere I go in the world, I want you to become my assistant coach." I mean, Coach Schaefer, he has won what Europe, or has played national team, big one, the African Nations League, gone to the World Cup, coaching the World Cup, and he has so many different coaches at his disposal. You understand? And for him to say, look, a young Jamaican to say, look, I want you to be my assistant coach wherever I go. I believe I would have, made a certain, a high level of impact in terms of my coaching IQ while I was working with him, with the Jamaican team.
Fair, fair. I'm sure that you know this fella because he's mentioning Fabi Fran is saying that he also had a short stint at Michael as well. And we have quite a few people that actually tune into the show that actually went to Michael and got
Oh
their first
yes, I
position.
I had a stint at Michael with the female team. Yes.
Okay. So after leaving Jamaica and all that, where did your journey take you to?
I went to Iran, to Esteghlal FC, one of the biggest club in Asia. We have won two Champions League, and it was a great opportunity to be there. A great time in Iran. You're always in football. You're gonna have always bad times, but I mean, if I got an opportunity to go again, I would definitely go because of the fans, what the club means to the country, what the club means to the people of Iran. So it was a great opportunity being there. We won the the knockout competition in 2018, and we finished second in the league both years. But it was a fantastic time.
All right. So you mentioned that you were the coach of Barbican. So what I want to gather now is that was there a huge disparity between what you did at Barbican versus when you went over to Estegal?
It's a different level, to be honest, because first of all, you have to look at the culture, the different culture, different ethnic group. You're dealing with professional players too. That at Barbican, you'd have only players within Jamaica, within a certain area. The national team would have helped me with dealing with the overseas based players. So we had players from Brazil, Senegal, we had players from Uzbekistan. We had very good players from all over the world. Matched with the players within Iran, and many of those players were national players. So if you the 18 World Cup, many of
Yeah.
those players played in the World Cup for the Iranian team. So it was a challenge based on the language barrier at first, but I had to learn the language somewhat. I don't think I remember anything now, maybe a little bit. And they were very, very receptive. They love football. They're very passionate about it. But it was a different level from a Barbican, a higher level. We're a part of the Champions League. We went to the semi-final of the Champions League, and we believed that we could have won that year, but we had some issues with the club.
All right. So in terms of dealing with the different personalities, as I just alluded to, different nationalities and all of that, what was it like for you?
Well, it you see, it's about assisting the coach, the head coach, in terms of managing the players, as much as possible. You be very honest. You be very honest. You be very disciplined, and you set standard as a coach and as a person, and you want to deal with those players too as individuals. So you have moments in which we meet off the field and we had discussion, about family, about life, and everything like that. So you develop a rapport with the players, and that I believe help when we go back, when you go on the football field, and for them to play for you, to play for the club, and to play for the head coach.
All right. So I actually checked the file now. So after Estegal, I saw that you went to Baniyas. So what happened between that time? Because you said you were at Estegal for a particular amount of time. So what transpired there?
Well, in 2018 we had the coach Schaefer was relieved of his duty as the head coach. So I was left there at that point in time, and there were some technicalities within my contract, and I used the opportunity to terminate my contract with Esteghlal because I didn't want to stay there alone. It's not easy. With coach and his son and the other staff members, it was much easier. But to be there alone, it's very difficult. And at that time, it was very difficult, to be honest with you, because many things, many many things. Many things. I could not travel out of the country because you have to get permission from the club, you know,
Yeah.
to leave. So it was very difficult. But I had, there were some technicalities within my contract in which I could terminate the contract, and you know, both myself and the club, we went to cast the court, coach of arbitration of sports in Switzerland, and the case went on for about 2 years until they made a decision, I think, in 2021.
What was the outcome of it?
Well, the outcome was that they were in breach of my contract, and they had to pay me. But with clubs, the fact that I was at Baniyas, they would have to look at my contract at Baniyas, and and then add or take away, and based on that, I would have gotten a certain amount of settlement.
All right. So as we mentioned, you went to Banyas afterwards. How did that link came about?
Well, as again, Coach Schaefer, he got a job in Banyas, and he said again I should join him in Banyas. So that's how I ended up. I'm nothing without Coach Schaefer.
As I
To be
mentioned,
honest, as I
the man
said,
is a football
he's
godfather.
been the guiding light in terms of my career, and I hope one day I could be. I try always to be that for someone else, because it's always to when you get opportunity, you try to give opportunity to others too.
True, true. So when I left Esteghlal, then over to Banyas, any major difference happened in terms of both clubs, in terms of infrastructure and
What
all of that? And
Baniyas is very professional club, very straight. The management were very straight, and I respected that. We love that. The players, more technical players, but in Esteghlal, very powerful physical players, and you had players of a higher standard in Esteghlal. However, the Banyas players, they were very talented too. And we brought one player from Esteghlal with us. We had one player from Spain, one from, I think, two from Brazil, as professional players, mixed with the locals. But in terms of style, it was a little bit different. Different in terms of how we play, especially at the start of the league, we had to play a little bit more behind the ball, based on the fact that it's very hot. You cannot be pressing, especially in September, October. It's very, very difficult for the players based on the humidity and the heat.
all right, so how long did the tenure at Banyas last for?
All right. In 2020, they came COVID, so there were a lot of uncertainty about the football. The contract was a 1 year contract, so after that year, the club didn't. As I said, there were a lot of uncertainty, and there were not many talks in terms of to renew. Went to the semi-final of the knockout, the President Cup, and we were at the time when the league had stopped. We were number 6 in the league, so I think we were doing very well, and we had an opportunity to maybe go in the top 4, but our contract weren't renewed because it was a very uncertain time. I don't believe it was about the result at the time, because the club were happy with us being in, especially in the semi-final of the President Cup. So it was based on the fact that it was very uncertainty when the league would start and everything like that. So we parted ways with Baniyas FC.
All right, so after that, I realized that your tenure in UAE came to an halt. And tell me about switching from UAE now over to Qatar. What was that like going to a
Well,
different
it was
country?
a tough time, really a tough time as a coach. Because I said that they were at the time it was the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
At that time, my family lived in Qatar for the maybe 3 years. They were living in Qatar, and I could not leave to go to Qatar because I could not get a visa. The country wasn't open, so I had to be staying in Dubai for over what 8 months. So 8 months before I could see them, I think in February the next year. So it was a very difficult time, very expensive time too, because to not working and being in Dubai for for such a long time, it can be very expensive. So I was happy that I could, Qatar finally opened up. And just when I got the visa to go to Qatar, Coach Schaefer called me and said, "Look, we have a job in Qatar." So it's a blessing. It was a really blessing. So I was very, very happy for that and very relieved too. But, more than even the job, I was so, so happy to see my family.
All right, so then you went over to Qatar, and as I mentioned, family is big when you're away from your home of birth. So whenever you're away, family is a big thing. That kind of help to ease the pressure a bit. But you went to Al-Khor SC.
Hmm.
Describe that. Describe the time that you
Okay.
spent at that.
So we went to Al-Khor. Went to Al-Khor. They were in last position. We went half season. So went in January, February, January, yeah. Half season to save the club from being relegated. We managed to do so. But we didn't change much for the new season. So it was always very difficult. We needed new players, but it was very difficult to get new players based on some contractual issues. Players had extended contracts, and we could not unless you have some big sum of money, you can terminate contracts like this. So we wanted to change one and two players. It was very, very difficult, and we started the league, and we didn't lose. We weren't losing, but we were drawing a lot of games. And when when you come to a league and you start drawing so many games, it start putting a lot of pressure on the players, a lot of pressure on the club. And in November, the club decided, look, they will have to part ways with the staff. And so once again, unfortunately, I love stability. So this was a tough time to know that you're losing you're losing a job based on this. And I believe we had a very good staff, very, very good staff, but we had to change one and two players. And when you don't do that in the preseason, it's always very, very difficult. So we ended up um our contract was terminated by Baniyas. However, like 2 days after, I got a phone call. One club called me and said they're interested in me being the assistant coach at their club. Definitely I spoke to Coach Schaefer about it. We had a conversation, and he was okay. He said it's fine, especially the fact that my family live in Qatar. For me to move again it's not easy, especially having a young daughter, and a young marriage also. So he said, it's best for me. You think I should take the job? So I took the job and I went there. I became the assistant coach and the head coach for the reserve team.
Okay. So after Al-Khor, you went to Salal, and you're still currently employed to Salal, right?
Yes,
So,
I'm still in at the UMSA.
so what capacity are you in at Salal?
What is my?
In terms of, are you assistant coach, head coach?
No, I'm the
What is the
assistant
role?
coach of the first team and head coach of the reserve team.
Okay, so
There's one team really is one team because you have a big squad. So you have a reserve team and you have the first team.
all right. So talk me about Salal now, because as I can see, you won title the other day, man. I saw you holding up on that
Yeah.
trophy.
Well, Salal provided me the opportunity to be a head coach. I haven't done that in a long while because I was assistant coach with Coach Schaefer for a very long time. And you don't feel the pressure as you feel it, but you don't feel it like the head coach. It's a no brainer. Yeah. And although Coach Schaefer, that I would be very integral in terms of the training, the planning, and everything like that. But it's always different. So being the reserve head coach, I could, you know, you know, I could articulate my philosophy with the players because now I would be in control, so I could do that with the players, and I found it was a breath of fresh air for me, honestly. So I really enjoyed that, and I have a good head coach too. He's a local, was a captain of the Qatar national team too. So also a young coach. Um, so it was a very good time. He allowed me the freedom to work with with the first team whenever possible, and control the reserve team. So it was a great experience, and to win a trophy at the end, it's I mean it's you can't ask for anything more, and the club was really happy. It's the second title they have won in in their existence. The last time um they won the the cup about 14 years ago, so it was very welcome,
I mean,
and it has put
you were a breath of fresh
the
air for
club.
them, man.
If
You were a breath of fresh air for them, man.
Well, they were for me also. So it was a mutual beneficial relation. It has been a mutual beneficial relationship. So I'm happy. I'm here with my family and ready for another season.
All right, so when we look at the culture now, let's say what you experience in Jamaica versus what you have experienced in those countries. Were there any sort of cultural shock for you?
No, cultural shock. No. I read a lot. I had a basic understanding of the culture within the Middle East. And like for example, UAE and Qatar, they have a strict Muslim culture, but they also have a Western culture. You know, a Western culture aspect to it also because you have more person from outside than locals living in Qatar. So you would have a huge Jamaican contingent. We have a lot of person from England, from United States, Canada. Plus, you have a lot of person from Africa and East Asia. So is a very good mix. And once you're respectful of their rules and their religion, then you live. It's a very peaceful place, and there has not been any form of culture shock. What I anything new is not alarming, and I've read about the different things in terms of within their culture before.
All right, so in terms of where you're at in your career, are there any plans at all to return to Jamaica in any sort of coaching? Would that be at the schoolboy? Well, let me ask you that first. Would you return to coaching at the schoolboy level?
No, I wouldn't want to return to coach at the schoolboy level.
All right.
At this point in time, I want to continue on a professional level. Um, maybe here, maybe be somewhere else in Asia or maybe in Europe. That's, I want to continue. I mean, I love coaching the schoolboy, but I think the schoolboy football had brought me to this level, and I want to move to another level.
Yeah. But in terms of the Jamaica national team, any thoughts that you probably harbor of becoming the national head coach at any point in time?
As I said, I would love to, but I'm not preoccupied by that thought. I'm always supportive of whomever the head coach is. I give this support 100%. In moments when you can be, when I will, the moments you will be, critical, then you can be critical, but not to put the coach down or anything at all. But to give constructive criticism, good or bad.
All right. So another question I want to get across to is which one you find harder in managing, the schoolboys or the professionals? Which one do you find harder to deal with?
Harder to manage. Professional footballers, they're very difficult, but it's two different level. The schoolboys, you have to be very. They need you a lot. You have to be their papa. You understand? But at the professional level, you have to be very. You have to manage properly. You have to manage properly because once you lose the dressing room, that's it for you. At the schoolboy level, you find you can have moments in which you probably lose the dressing room a little bit, but based on your experience and your rapport with them, you can get it back. But at the professional level, you lose that dressing room. Believe me, it's bye bye.
All right. So you as a coach, what did you say is your philosophy in terms of coach and your style of play?
Well, I I'm very big on transition. transition to attack and transition to defense. I believe in that moment of the game, can be, the decide if you win or lose. At the same time, I allow the players to be very, be creative, to be, to be respectful of the game model, but also to create within the system, my system of play.
Okay. And out of all the clubs that you have managed so far, which one of them would you say you have had the best time at?
Of all the what the teams
Clubs
I've
that,
managed,
yeah,
um, I Esteghlal has been was an amazing, maybe because it was the first opportunity outside of Jamaica, but I still have contact with players there, management there, so it's like a great bond, and even at Baniyas. So, but um, the football in Iran is something else. It's you have to just be there to understand. You have 95,000 people in your stadium chanting, crying. You have about 20,000 people outside. You drive into the games. Um, you have cars, you have bike, you have people running. It's just an amazing, amazing feeling. You can't even go on the road sometimes, especially after a game, especially if you win.
wow,
You can't even go on the road. So it's like personal you'd experience in maybe Brazil, you'd experience in Portugal, in England. It's that type of atmosphere. In the UAE and Qatar, you don't have this big fan base like that.
yeah,
You don't have a big fan base like that. But like in Iran, you want to coach football, you go there. Despite something different, some aspect of life, but it's amazing to be a coach there. You're on your P's, you're on your Q's, and you just enjoy.
all right. So at the top of the show, you mentioned about the language barrier. So when you work in Iran and also UAE and now in Qatar, did you have to communicate across the players in Arabic?
No, repeat, please.
All right. You spoke about the language barrier, so I'm asking, did you have to communicate across the players in Arabic language or anything of that sort?
Yeah, a little bit. Just football language. You probably in Iran, you the language was easier to adapt in Iran. It was much easier. So you would have to communicate in Farsi. That's the language, Persian language, and then in Arabic, sometimes, and the players love it. Like you say, Momta Shabab, like to push them, Mashallah, Yallah, whatever it is, that's to push them, and the fact that they see you getting to understanding and understand their language, they believe, and it's genuine that you have some interest in them. So because nobody can push you like in a different language more than your language.
Yeah,
You understand? And as a coach, you have to adapt, and it's good to have to learn different language too. It's good for me.
facts. And a question from the producer, Manchester man, just like yourself, is asking, what about the atmosphere building up towards the Qatar World Cup? What has it been like?
It has been amazing, man. They used the Arab Cup earlier this year just to fine tune to see how the stadiums are, and it was fantastic, fantastic. The stadiums are so beautiful, so modern, so easily accessible because Qatar is a very small country. So just imagine you can watch one game in one area, then you take 10 minutes, 20 minutes by train to go see another game. This has never happened before. So that they have fantastic. The train system is easy, fantastic. The stadiums are out of this world. Believe me, world class, absolutely world class. The stadium here before, world class stadiums, that we play in, and none of those stadiums will be used for the World Cup. So you can just imagine the stadiums are just tailor made for the World Cup, and it's going to be a fantastic World Cup, especially due to the fact that you're going to have fitter players, fresher players. It's not like at the end of the season, players going to, some of them burn out and still going to play in July. You're playing in November when you're, at the peak of your season. So I'm expecting an electrifying World Cup.
And I'm making a wild guess that you're going to be at some of these games.
Yeah, bought my tickets already, man. I bought my tickets for the first round and the second round, and it's always difficult to get the different rounds, but hopefully I can probably get some tickets or probably work with one of the stations here during the World Cup.
All right. So at your current club, are any of these players currently in the Qatar national team?
No, we don't have any national players currently. The national team here normally comprise many times of like the four top clubs, especially two top clubs, Al Sadd and Al Duhail.
Yeah.
Those clubs really have the national players. So it's always very difficult with with the other teams to compete against them. And all players here they play locally. All the players in the national team they play locally, and they come through the Aspire Academy. And through the Aspire Academy, the four top clubs normally get some of the better players. So the other clubs, have to develop very well their youth programs so that they can have produce players for their team. But so we don't have any players for in the national team at this moment.
All right. And I see a comment in the comment section asking, there have been some big talents to have passed through Asia. Who is the biggest player or talent that you have seen live, if any?
Now repeat, please.
There's a question in the comment section asking that there have been some big talents to have passed through Asia. Who is the biggest player or talent that you have seen live, if any?
See life in Asia. So many players. You have Ibrahimi from what, Tunisia. From Tunisia, he's an amazing player. He was playing in England. You have yeah, well, James Rodriguez play here, but didn't have a fantastic season. You have Ndobe. There's so many different players. I don't really know who's the best talent that I've seen, but I've seen so many talents in Iran. With Omid Abrahami, you have Serva Japaro. You have so many talented players. At our club we have Israel Barbosa, the Brazilian fantastic player. So Ayman from Tunisia is captain at Tunisia. So you have many good players that I've seen. But to say the best, I would have to wrap my head around it some more.
Okay. And
But oh no, sorry. The best I've seen is Javi. Sorry. Now I remember. Yeah, we played. He was playing with Al Sadd when I was in Iran, and then when I came to Qatar, he started coaching Al Sadd. But he is one of the best players I've seen in Asia. I played against while I'm here in Asia.
all right, based on teams that are in Asia right now, do you think any of them can make it to the second round?
Teams in Asia, can they make it to the second round? I think Iran have a good chance. I don't remember the group. I think they're in a group with USA and some.
England
I don't.
and Wales.
And England, I think they have a good chance. They have, yeah, I think they have a good chance. Qatar have a good chance as well. They have a very good system. They have been coming up from the youth, so they understand each other very very well, and they have a good chance. So Qatar, they have the Japan, and Iran. I think those teams have a chance to go to the next round of the World Cup.
Okay, and final question to you before we close it off because I know that it's pretty late over there. Any chance of any Jamaican talent coming to the club that you're currently at?
For this season, no. For this season, no. Um, One player is we were looking at him, but he has a contract because sometimes what happens is that the many clubs here in Asia, we try to find free agents, players who contract has finished. You understand? They would come here, um, because sometimes the bio depending on the club budget, to buy out a contract. So not many times we look for the free agents, and at this point in time, all of the Jamaican talent, they have that we would be very interested in. They're under contract. I know Damien Lowe was supposed to sign one time. I heard in Markia, maybe 2 years ago, but he ended up going to Egypt. But the more Jamaican players, I mean, the club, some players did very well in the last Gold Cup. Did very well in the last Gold Cup. So their names have been submitted. We have watched the tapes with many Jamaican players, and when I was in Iran, we were after one Jamaican player, but he wasn't certain that he wanted to come to Iran,
So
because
you're refusing to name that player?
no, I won't name the player. I won't name the player, but it was good guy, good guy, good guy.
Okay. And any final words to Jamaican fans? Because as I mentioned before, your name has been mentioned in and around the setup multiple times. People would love to see you get the national coaching job because one, because of your coaching philosophy, and two, because of the style of play, and also because of the age factor. So, what say you?
No, I mean, I always appreciate the love um, from Jamaicans, and um, I also would love one day to be, the coach, but not just to be the coach, but to really bring the team to a different level, And I am here, um, uh, trying to learn the game as much as possible. Better educate myself, better equip myself for that opportunity, or whichever opportunity come. So I mean, I'm very happy and grateful for the love. Um, about being in the national team. It comes with great responsibility as well, and it's great pressure, but it's one of the greatest thing you can do as a countryman, and as a Jamaican, to coach your national team, especially to a World Cup and to many many victories.
And final thing, the producer is an English fan, but at this current juncture, the producer is saying that he would love if you take over from Southgate.
Would love for me to take over from.
Take over from Southgate.
No chance. At this moment, no chance. No chance. Football, he may be very nervous now they lost 4-0. But they have time. They have time. England team, I think they will do very well, in the World Cup. But England fans are always very nervous because they never know what will happen, what kind of team will come out, especially under high pressure.
And the producer is here telling me all sort of madness, Mr. Coley. Man say, that you're from MIGUEL and he's actually from the Greenville area. So the man say, to an enemy.
Enemy? No, I
Well,
see him not just
he's
Manchester,
just
man.
mugging around, man, because just like yourself, the producer is a Christian as well.
Oh, okay, okay. No, man, see him Northwest Manchester. We're from. Once he's from Greenville, so you would have known Andrew Smith, who I played with, grew up with and played with in my short playing time. Maybe long because I started playing very young, very young. 'Cause maybe at 14 I was playing at the semi and and by 15 at the professional level. So
Don't want to put you under too much pressure, but this upcoming World Cup, there's no clear favorites, but
mhm.
you're a coach and I want to put you under the microscope. Call the World Cup.
I you you know let me. I cannot call the World Cup without being a fan, to be honest. And I think, and it's more not just being a fan too. I think the Brazilian team, um, is a team compared to maybe the 2006 Brazilian team. In a long time, we haven't had a Brazilian team like this, in which they have so many different players who can decide the game. Um, I think it's up to the coach to have the best mix on the team, but they're a very, very talented team. You have centre backs who are world class centre backs who will be on the bench. The only problem that I see with the Brazilian team are the wing backs. Normally, Brazilian are some of the better right back and left back, and this is where we struggle. This is where they struggle at this point in time. But they have a very good team. Neymar, all depend on which Neymar turn up for the World Cup and what position they play him. If they play him as a striker, do they play him as a number 10 or a winger? But they have a very very talented team that can really really win the World Cup. So I'm bringing Brazil for the World Cup.
Okay, I disagree with you still because I'm a German fan, but that's good. Still good. But want to thank you for your time, Mr. Coley. Great speaking to you, man, and wish you all the best in your coaching career. Hope that you keep on getting better and better at Salal. Hopefully, you get a head coach job. because right now we want to upgrade from the assistant coach to the real manager of the team. So hopefully you get better and better from here on in, and very soon we want to see in the national setup, because no matter you want to tell that you're just biding your time, we want to see you as the national coach. I really like how you coach, and I like how you develop players as well. So I really want you to get there. So again, appreciate your time. All the best in the endeavors. Thank you so much for this interview.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man, and thanks for your kind words. And all the best with your channel, with your podcast, and with whatever you do, whatever you pursue from this day on. All the best with it.
Appreciate it, man. And hopefully this won't be a last time around, because we shall have a talk once again.
All right, man.
Bless
Big
you.
up.